In the Civil War era, the Henry rifle became known as the rifle that you load on Sunday and you can shoot all week. But I'd like to correct the narrative. This is that Yankee rifle that you load on Sunday and you shoot all month. Let's get into the new Henry Lever Action Supreme 300 Blackout rifle. If you want to do this and have some fun on your range and shoot some steel targets that are safe, a quality investment for your training, and they're going to help you train to become better, check out TA Targets. And when you do, and you're shopping on the TA Targets website, remember to use code Keystone Carry at checkout. It's going to save you a bunch of money. And if you don't use the code, I guess shame on you, because then you're just paying full price, but you're still getting a quality target system. So swing on over to TA Targets. Got some information down in the description. Got bases, cardboard targets, steel targets, made right here in Pennsylvania. Get on it. I start off every video discussing who I am and who I am not partnered up with. I think that whenever I'm doing a video, transparency is key, and I do try to be as objective with products as possible. For this video, I provided all of the ammunition you see me shooting, and I paid full price just like all of you do. The Spark Solar Optic was purchased as well, and the Henry rifle was given to me for free, as was the leather sling and the Picatinny rail for the receiver. I've got no media contract with Henry, but I did sign an embargo to keep this rifle quiet until after the drop date. Absolutely no money was exchanged for this video. I am one of the owners of TA Targets though, so if you decide to purchase anything from our site, obviously I and my team will financially benefit from it. If you have any questions about anyone that I'm sponsored by or partnered with, or any product placements, companies, or any contracts, you can always email me in the About section of this channel, and I will happily dive deeper if needed. That's enough housekeeping, let's get into the specs. The Henry Supreme rifles, also known as the Lever Action Supreme rifles, or lasers, are a modern, refined version of a lever action rifle. These models blend some of the features of an AR-15 into a more traditional yet disruptive style of rifle. They are neither traditional lever action rifles nor a modern fighting rifle. They bleed the lines between the two. The Henry Supreme rifles are fed from standard AR-15 magazines, and a 10-round magazine is included with each rifle in the box when you purchase it. Whether you buy the 223 version or the 300 Blackout, cycling and feeding these rifles will happen from standard AR-15 magazines. There's no magazine tube, which leads to a slimmer foregrip that ties the lines of the rifle together very well. The Henry Supreme rifles feature an American walnut stock, an aluminum anodized receiver, and a blued barrel. The stock features a very comfortable rubber butt pad. Sling swivel studs are already installed from the factory into the stock and the foregrip to accept standard hunting slings. The barrel length for the 300 Blackout is 16.5 inches. The barrel length for the 223 is 18. Twist rate for the 300 Blackout is 1 in 7, and it is 1 in 8 for the 223. And a side note, I love 1 in 8 twist rates anytime I'm shooting 223 or 5.56 NATO. The 300 Blackout barrel is threaded with a 5/8 24 thread pitch, and the 223 barrel is threaded half by 28. Those are standard thread pitches that will work for nearly all suppressors and muzzle devices on the market. The hammer is an internal design, which leads to the looks and the aesthetics of the rifle, but it keeps more of the weather, water, snow, and other dirt and debris out of the action. Internally, the Supreme rifle utilizes an AR-15 bolt and bolt face. It's strange to look inside a lever action rifle and see that, but there it is. The magazine release is a small paddle that is positioned directly in front of the lever, and a small push with your finger is all that you're going to need to do to be able to remove the magazine and insert a new one. The lever is a larger loop, but not so large as to feel bulky or unnecessary. The safety is a Tang safety on the front of the stock, and it's very easily accessible from either the right or left side of the rifle, making it an ambidextrous design. The trigger is advertised as a 4-pound pull and is adjustable via a small Allen screw. The Supreme rifle at this time ships with adjustable iron sights, and the receiver is drilled and tapped for a Picatinny rail. I installed one of the Picatinny rails that Henry offers to mount a more modern red dot sight, the Vortex Spark Solar. Advertised weight of this rifle in the 300 Blackout flavor and the 223 is 6.43 pounds and 6.65 pounds respectively. The 223 is heavier because of that additional barrel length over the 300 Blackout. MSRP is currently advertised at $12.99, so you could expect to likely buy one for less than that at standard retail pricing from any of your local dealers. Let's talk about the first day that I took this rifle out on the range. I had already handled the gun quite a bit, and I figured out that, frankly, this action is the smoothest lever action that I have ever felt to date. I'm not really sure why that is, but the action is extremely smooth. And those first few rounds that I put through this rifle put a huge smile on my face. I opted to run 150 grain soft point supersonic ammunition unsuppressed to start. The crazy part is how I kept thinking that I had to just keep pressing the trigger like an AR-15 and that this gun would load itself. I've never experienced that glitch in my mind with a lever action rifle before, and I think it's because it has a magazine, or maybe it's just because I'm shooting a more modern fighting caliber like 300 Blackout, but I kept forgetting to rack the action. Over time, I got used to it, and I found that even with fully packed magazines, the action remained very smooth. It does take quite a bit of force to get the ammo to feed from that magazine, but it was very easy to get accustomed to after the first couple drills. Another thought that I found myself thinking was, man, I really hope that this rifle cycles both supersonic and subsonic. I know, it's a lever gun, so what the heck was I thinking and why was I worried about that? And I think it's just because this gun is so unique and strange and different. And I was thinking back to my history with 300 Blackouts, wondering if, will this gun cycle? But at the end of the day, it's like, oh, hey dummy, it's a lever gun. Of course it's gonna cycle. It's just something that I'm not used to, and the gun had my mind tripping for a moment because it does bleed the world between an AR-15 and a lever action rifle. And the recoil impulse of this rifle was very soft and manageable. The big rubber butt pad on the rear is, in my opinion, kind of unnecessary for a small caliber like 300 Blackout, but it did make shooting this rifle very pleasant. The foregrip was designed very comfortably, and even shooting with just iron sights on that first range day, this thing was an absolute blast to shoot. One thing I did notice right away is my Henry 300 Blackout does not feed from Lancer 223 magazines. It works perfect from the Lancer 300 Blackout magazines, but every time I tried to run 20 round Lancer 223 mags, it just fed horribly unless I held onto the magazine. And frankly, I couldn't see a visual difference between the two different types of magazines, so I'm really not sure what's going on there, but I did have cycling issues each time I used those Lancer 223 magazines. However, PMags ran flawlessly and I had zero issues. The longer subsonic rounds that I was shooting toward the end of the range day did take considerably more force to strip the round and feed it into the chamber, and it's no doubt due to the long bullet length and also, frankly, the weight of each round. The ammo that I was running at first was the 150 grain soft point, then I switched to 208 grain AMAX, and then ultimately I ran a lot of 220 grain subsonic plated bullets. And it was immediately clear that although this rifle is not as fast as an AR-15, this is much faster at getting back into action than older lever action rifles. The older designs of lever action rifles needed to be loaded one round at a time through either the magazine tube or a side feed, but this one is as simple as taking that new magazine and slapping it into the receiver, racking your next round, and then you're back into action. The mag release and the mag well in general are a little bit strange, but they weren't too hard to get used to. This rifle certainly isn't as intuitive as an AR-15, but it's pretty dang close. While I know it is a bit abnormal to be running ready up and build drills and sort of fighting kind of fundamental drills with a lever action rifle, I did a few of them on the first range day, both suppressed and unsuppressed. I was just trying to get used to this rifle and frankly understand how it handles in comparison to an AR-15. I found that it doesn't have the intuitive pointing of an AR-15, but it is quite fast to get up and onto target. While I cannot comment on a recoil impulse in these models of rifles in a 223 because I don't have one, the 300 Blackout, both subsonic and supersonic, suppressed and unsuppressed, was very easy to manage. And keep in mind, 300 Blackout is not a crazy caliber, so I wasn't expecting the recoil to be intense, but supersonic ammo does punch pretty good in all different flavors of rifles. Immediately I thought about how cool this rifle would be for a youth hunter. It's small, light, and because the recoil is super light, it's easier for smaller people to shoot. The 300 Blackout round is also quite capable, and for that reason, I found a lot of joy in getting used to the handling and the recoil impulse of this rifle. It's not as smooth shooting as an AR-15 because there's no gas system or auto cycling of the action that takes up some of that recoil energy. Instead, I found I had a very well-balanced, mild recoiling, manually activated rifle. One that finally bridged the gap between my fighting and hunting rifles. And maybe we have finally found a true tactical lever action rifle. Now I did want to talk a little bit about my third range day where I experienced a ton of malfunctions with this particular rifle, every magazine I had, and the 150 grain soft point ammunition. In the moment of shooting, I assumed that it was just the soft points that were digging into the feed ramps, causing a jam inside the action of the rifle. But what I came to find after testing and trying to run this gun more and more on camera, it was just simply too dirty from the previous 2 range days, and all of the lubrication that was inside of the action was dried up and coated in carbon. So I grabbed some of the Gunfighter gun oil that I had in my range case, I opened the action, wiped down the bolt face and all of that, and I lubricated all of the moving parts, and immediately this gun started cycling like glass, and I had no further issues on that range day. So although you're seeing some shots of malfunctions in this video, showcasing the struggle in some of those drills, I came to find that they were honestly entirely self-inflicted. I should have oiled the gun sooner and more often, especially since I've been almost exclusively running this rifle suppressed, and it was like 10 degrees outside that day. Just something to keep in mind if you're thinking about buying this rifle. Apparently they need to be heavily lubricated. So talking about the accuracy of this rifle, I'm gonna admit that the objective of this video is not an accuracy test. Further, because this one is 300 Blackout, I immediately write it off as a distance gun. To me, this rifle is more of a 100-yard and closer hunting and defensive rifle. I did film a couple fast groups shooting 208 grain AMAX bullets, and also I shot some of my favorite hand-loaded Spear 130 grain supersonic loads. Obviously, that's not a scientific accuracy test, and this was only at 50 yards, but it does showcase the ability and the capability of this rifle to be able to land rounds and be perfectly capable of stacking groups. It's also interesting in that footage on our 70-200 lens, showing the difference in impact between the supersonic and subsonic ammunition. So this particular video, I'm not gonna go any deeper into the accuracy potential of this rifle, but as I use this in hunting applications, I spend more time with it and I work up hand loads in the future for hunting, I can come back and do a specific short video showing actual accuracy of this rifle with an optic like a magnified optic or scope, if that's something that you all would like to see. But from what I'm seeing on paper at 50 yards and also just shooting on our steel targets out to 150 yards, this rifle is perfectly capable in a hunting role of humanely taking game. Additionally, it offers the accuracy needed to be able to defend your home or your property. It is perfectly suited for those roles. So I want to focus on the positives of this rifle first. My biggest gripe with lever action rifles has always been the abusive recoil of the larger pistol calibers and larger rifle calibers and the horrifically slow reload speeds they incurred. The Henry lever action Supreme rifle changes all of that. Now, this is a magazine-fed rifle, so it's extremely fast to go from an empty gun to a fully loaded gun again. It's arguably as fast as any other magazine-fed rifle. Further, this rifle is now available in 2 modern, smaller fighting calibers. This makes the rifle more appealing as I already have tons of 300 Blackout ammo in the armory, and 300 Blackout is extremely capable. Further, the lighter calibers mean less recoil, less noise, and a more mild shooting experience for anyone that's running this rifle. It packs ample power into a very small, very light, compact rifle that is going to be more than capable for any hunting or defensive application. Because of the smaller calibers, the threaded barrels, and the removable magazines, I'd be fine running this rifle even in a home defense or property defense role because it is more than capable. Aside from that one issue with the Lancer magazines and those feed issues that I had on that third range day that simply resulted from the gun being too dry, this rifle ran flawlessly. Every type of ammo that I threw through it cycled perfectly fine through the magazines and the action. The feeding issues that I experienced on that third day, like I said, were self-inflicted. Now that I know that this gun needs to be kept extremely lubricated and the inner parts need to have a lot of quality oil on them, I don't expect to have any other issues. So just use quality magazines, quality ammo, and keep everything oiled, and this rifle should run perfectly fine. I think the biggest drawbacks will be inherent to a hunting style rifle. Mounting white lights or lasers or other accessories on the rail right now is gonna be very difficult. It doesn't have a full rail, so mounting gadgets to your fore end of the rifle, it's really not gonna be possible or advisable in its current form. Further, it will never be as fast as an AR-15 to shoot or reload. Reloading is a little bit clunky as the magazine release is extremely small. Further, it takes quite a bit of strength when you're working that action to work the subsonic rounds out of the magazine and through the chamber. And after a full range day, it was super interesting to see that my arm was actually very sore. I know you guys right now are saying, Jared, suck it up, Buttercup. And I get it, but it's just something that I noticed while training on the range. Let's talk about who I think this rifle is perfect for. So this is a phenomenal rifle. That's basically what I've landed on. It's very smooth shooting, soft recoiling, and it's a very capable rifle. If you're someone who wants a more traditional looking rifle, but you want the functionality of a detachable magazine and a threaded barrel, this may be the perfect rifle for you. Many other companies have chased that proverbial tactical lever action rifle, and in my opinion, basically all of them have fallen short in some way up until this moment. If you value smaller calibers, manual actions, and suppressor ready rifles, or you just love lever action rifles in general like I do, this may in fact be a perfect rifle for you. If you hate all of those things, well, you're probably not gonna like this rifle and you might even hate it. If this rifle causes you trauma, vent it out down in the comment section below. I'd call it a safe space, but honestly, with the comments that I get, there's absolutely nothing safe about the comment section down there, so proceed at your own risk. I guess all that's left to ask is, would you consider this rifle? Is the 300 Blackout Henry Supreme rifle something that you want to add to your safe? If so, I wanna know why you're thinking about buying this rifle down in the comment section. Again, I see it as a very well-rounded option, and it's also an awesome option for people that are in more communist states. Additionally, for people like me who live in hunting FUDland states, in a state full of crazy hunting laws, a rifle like this allows me more capacity for hunting because it is a manually operated rifle. It's sort of an effective workaround to give me more capabilities during my hunts. It's an interesting take on a more modern lever action rifle. And even further, I'm excited to see what other calibers Henry comes out with in this platform in the future, and I am certain that they will at some point. So I hope at the very least this video was entertaining. If you found it helpful, please consider sharing the video. If you bought one of these rifles because of this video, because you found this video helpful, just consider sharing that with Henry. Again, I won't make money if you do that because you shared the video's impact with Henry, but it does help them see what this channel does. They're friends of mine and I like helping friends out. Remember also that the best way to support me, aside from subscribing to this channel, which is free, is purchasing some steel targets from TA Targets. And remember, whenever you do that, to use my specific code at checkout because it's gonna save you big, and that code is Keystone Carry at checkout. So as always, guys, stay well, stay safe. I'll see you in the next video.